after dropping their first game in Hoover, Tennessee baseball is on a hot streak, and now they're dancing their way into the semifinals that'll take place tomorrow. I'm Ryan Sylvia. This is Noah Taylor. We're with VolReport.com on the Rivals Network, and it was a tough win against MSU. It was a gritty win. There was some extracurriculars out on the field and around the fifth inning, but it's a Blake Burke home run that puts him over the top. What are your overall thoughts of the game and that Blake Burke's win?
Yeah, I mean, a game changer, and what set it up, obviously, is what Cannon Peebles was able to do, going out there in a pinch-hitting situation. And then, of course, you know, an errant throw kind of helped there with the error, but it gets the 2 runs across and gives Tennessee a chance. And, of course, Blake Burke doing not only what he's done all year and all his career, but what he's done here. He's had a lot of success in this stadium, and obviously adds to that tonight. But like you mentioned, a gritty win. You know, we came into it, we talked a lot about, you know, how much this week meant to Tennessee. You mentioned the extracurricular stuff. I think that made it mean a little bit more to him tonight, and they played like it after that inning when they fell down there briefly. But here you are, you're a game away from the championship now.
It seemed a little bit like a wake-up call at times. A team that, I don't want to say they were okay with losing, but maybe weren't fully engaged, and then all of a sudden that happens, and it felt like, all right, this is Tennessee baseball. You kind of light that fire under them, and we'll see what happens. Well, what happens is Cannon Peebles puts the ball in play. That's half the battle, and an errant throw, like you said, it pushes 2 runs across, tie a game, and Blake Burke leaves the yard, and next thing you know, you're in the SEC semifinals. So if you want to hear what Tony had to say about the altercation, I guess that's even kind of feels like a strong word for it. It's kind of exchanging of words. We'll have that on the YouTube channel. Check out the press conference. It was, he shouldered a good amount of the blame, kind of joking around about it, but I guess the most interesting thing is he said the SEC didn't want them to shake hands after the game, but to him he kind of seemed like we didn't feel like there's too much going on. But Tennessee, the pitching staff, Drew Beam, really nice outing to start. 4.1 of that inning is a no-hitter, and all of a sudden things kind of snowball. Next thing you know, he finishes 4 2/3 throwing, and a lot of runs tacked onto him. What were your thoughts on his outing? How do you kind of balance that, where it's like so good up into a point, and then it falls off a cliff, and maybe the stats don't look as good as it felt?
Yeah, I think, you know, Tony kind of covered that, made a really good point in there about what he was able to do. Like you mentioned, it was a really good outing. We kind of wondered going into this game how far they were going to push him tonight, and maybe a little too far. It was kind of, you know, when things kind of snowballed there, you saw Tennessee rush to the bullpen to try to get something going there, and obviously they get Aaron Combs out there. But yeah, I think overall, you know, I think it helps the way that the game ended, that you kind of overlook how his, you know, his final outing or his final inning went. But overall, really good, strong performance from him that really kind of set the tone early for Tennessee defensively. I mean, outside of that inning, Mississippi State doesn't score again. So, you know, a massive start for him, and then the guys out of the bullpen. Combs, obviously, kind of unfair for him to come into that situation, but able to limit the damage a little bit there, and keep it still within reach, and not let Mississippi State kind of build momentum. And then Nate Snead, Kirby Connell, do a really good job of and Andrew Banky. Of course, that's kind of the guy, you know, the story of the night for Tennessee defensively.
I remember sitting up in the press box, and we're just kind of like, there's really no one in the bullpen right now. Drew Beam's running into a little bit of trouble. That pitch count, like, we know he can go higher than that, but at the same time, you have to assume the pitch count at the SEC tournament's not going to be as high as you can go in maybe a big regular season game or an NCAA tournament game. So, like, when's that bullpen going to start getting warm? And a little too late. Tony admitted it, talking about that. But bullpen picked up in a really nice way. Andrew Bakey, phenomenal outing from him. He's coming on really strong in just his sophomore year, so he could be a piece going forward that could be really crucial for Tennessee out of the bullpen, but also this year. And once the NCAA tournament begins, that's a big part of it, is having that pitching. Now, the arms are starting to deplete. You look at Vanderbilt tomorrow, we'll see who gets the start. Xander Sechrist has a guy that you would think would get the ball, but we'll have to wait and see, I guess, to see who officially gets. And he can only go so far, and you'll have to see who hops in behind him to try to get the job done. What do you think going into that game? Not even just in the pitching aspect, but overall, Tennessee in a bad spot, a good spot, a rematch with Vanderbilt right after you just lost to them. How does it feel?
Yeah, I think it feels a little bit like, and it feels weird to say this because you're in a semifinal game, you're playing an in-state rival. It feels a little bit like every game's kind of felt, at least to me, in this tournament for Tennessee. You know, you're not going to get too hung up on the end result. Obviously, you'd like to go out there, and if you're a Tennessee fan, I'm sure the players too would maybe get a little revenge for how the other day played out. This is the 5th meeting between the teams this year.
Yeah.
And so a lot of familiarity there with these guys. And I know Vanderbilt's certainly probably going to be fired up for it. They got a little bit more at stake as far as seeding for them.
Yeah.
I think Tennessee's in a really good spot, obviously, and has been in this tournament. But, yeah, I think you kind of had a little bit of the same approach. You kind of see what you got out there. And maybe a little bit similar to that first game where you're depleted with the arms, so maybe you give some guys a chance and see how far they can go and what they can do, and maybe a good opportunity for that. But yeah, a result that I think Tennessee's just going to be happy with either way.
Yeah, like you said, I don't think Tennessee's going to be too upset if they do lose this game. I think that 1 seed's probably locked up.
Yeah.
When you look at what the other teams in the SEC that were right behind them did, and how none of them are still playing baseball, and it's going to be Tennessee and Vanderbilt on one side, and then South Carolina and LSU on the other side. Tennessee's probably the number 1 overall seed.
Yeah.
With the loss tomorrow, I don't think any of that changes. Probably this win was kind of the security that you needed around that. So it doesn't really matter if you win or lose, but I think that's a game that Tennessee's definitely going to want to wake up for.
Yeah.
And want to win, and you're on a Saturday, you got 2 games to win, you have another crown, and you can sweep the SEC, win co-champions in the regular season. You even can brag that they have the head-to-head over Kentucky, and then you can win an SEC tournament on top of it. You can call it bad luck to be the SEC tournament champion, to be the 1 seed, but I don't think any team in the country is going to pass up that opportunity. Yeah. So I expect Tennessee to go out there with a lot of fire right out the gates and try to win. But if it doesn't go their way, not the end of the world. Yeah. You can follow all of that over at VolReport.com, though. We'll have content from tonight, transcripts of the press conference, some sidebars, and of course we always have football content as well. A big weekend in Knoxville in terms of recruiting. A bunch of guys on campus. David Sanders Jr., the number 2 overall recruit in the country, is one of them who's taking in Tennessee right now as he's nearing closer and closer to a decision on where he'll spend his college days. Chaz Lanier is officially a Vol as well, so we have content on that. What do you need to expect from him? What's he bringing to the table? We have that for you. Softball, they're 1-0 in their super regional, just took down Alabama today in heroic fashion. Interesting story, Laura Mueller, she hits the go-ahead home run, grows up a Tennessee fan, admits she's not an Alabama fan at all. She doesn't like them, and that kind of made that moment a little bit more special. We have content on all of that over at VolReport.com. Truly the one-stop shop for everything Tennessee athletics. Links in the description. Thank you for watching.